Good morning. My name is Chris Fox. Today we're talking about condensing characters and why that is valuable to you as an author. This is something that I wish I had learned a number of years earlier and saves me a lot of heartache these days, especially since I write long series. If you tend to write long series, this rule will serve you well. So what you're going to find as you're writing your series is that some characters leap off the page. These characters are your main characters, or they start off as side characters, but just kind of click with you and eventually become main characters as a result of that. Fans love them, you love them. But on the flip side of that, there is always going to be characters that you don't love, that you don't resonate with, that aren't amazing or, super awesome or incredible. They're just sort of the bit parts that need to be played. If you're writing a fantasy novel and, your party is going into an inn and they're talking to the innkeeper, that innkeeper or the barmaid or whoever they talk to is a bit part. And throughout the course of a novel, you will often end up with, let's say, 10 or 12 bit parts. And these characters are unfortunately not memorable really at all. You're not going to remember them after you've seen them in a scene. You get 2 scenes down the road and that barkeep, you don't remember what color their hair was or what their name was or anything special about them. And to my mind, that is a missed opportunity. If you are writing a story where you have these bit parts, oftentimes what you can do is condense 3 or 4 of them into one character. So in other words, if you've got a distinct cousin who's only going to be in there for one scene, and in another scene you've got, let's say, this bartender we were talking about, and then maybe in a third scene you've got somebody who sees a character being attacked and intervenes, just yells, help, guards, or something. What if all 3 of these people were the same person? Now, if you do it this way, they become a minor but memorable character that readers are going to remember, so that if your party were to come back to that city, let's say, if we're still going with our fantasy example, they might remember this person who had done all of those little things, whereas the innkeeper who had 2 lines of dialogue is totally forgettable, and so is the one random bystander who yelled guards. So it's all about how can you find these logical connections or forge these logical connections so you're reducing the number of side characters that you have. Every time your reader creates, a character sheet, if you will, in their head for one of your characters, the whole book gets a little more complex. It gets harder to track. For those of you that have read, let's say, what's a great example? How about The Wheel of Time? The granddaddy of fantasy series. There are so many Aes Sedai in this series, and so many of them have names that are off by only a letter or two, that by the time you get up to book 10, I had no idea who half these Aes Sedai were. I mean, it was 2 years, plus between these books coming out, and there were these 1,000-page doorstops. And what Jordan did is he introduced hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of characters. So he's like the antithesis of this rule that I am suggesting, which again is to condense your characters down, make it easier on your reader and also on yourself, because it'll be easier for you. What I found is if I'm making more strong side characters, that as books go on and we get deeper into these series, the side characters start to take on a life of their own. So maybe originally it was just a collection of small parts, but as you get deeper in, you're going to find that they start finding themselves and becoming real characters. So again, condense characters down as often as you can. If you have multiple bit parts in the same book, just ask yourself the question, can any one of these instead be a person that we've met before or we'll meet again? Can I condense that in some way? Anyway, guys, this is meant to be a quick tip. This is the most brutal writing week I've had in a long time, but I did finish Nefarious. Lisa got her edits done as well, and we submitted that to the store today for pre-order. So let's see, the last day that I could upload it is the 24th. Today, I am recording this on the 21st. It's actually near the end of the day. So we got it in 3 days ahead of schedule. But still, that's way closer than I like to push things. The book was longer than any other book in the Magitech Chronicles, but hopefully it will be well received and we managed to get it done. I am going to now go and get some bed. It's pretty late here, as a matter of fact. But my work is done for the day. I've got this novel finished, and tomorrow I can jump into ads for authors, getting that book ready. So for those that have not heard, I am doing a course for that, but I'm also doing a book in the Write Faster, Write Smarter series. Charging $100 for a course and giving no alternative is tough on a lot of writers. And so I will be releasing a $5 book that's basically the textbook for the course. more details to follow. Anyway, I hope the quick tip was useful. Let me know in the comments. And if you have condensed characters, if you've used this creatively, tell us about it. Tell your fellow writers. I mean, people are reading those comments and looking for a little more info. Anyway, guys, I am going to get back to the writing, and I will see you next week.